My name is Joe Owen. I live, breathe and teach leadership skills. In this programme, I'm going to find out why a deputy head considering headship is finding it difficult taking the final step. The question is, could he really do it? To find out, I'm going to throw him to a panel of education experts who will ultimately decide, does he have what it takes to be a head? In preparation for the big day, I'm going to shadow him to examine his leadership skills. I will analyse his drive and motivation, and then I'm going to send him to a leader outside of education to help him find out what it takes to be at the top of your game. Will he then be ready for headship? Only the panel can decide. Simon Wilson has been an English teacher for 9 years and an assistant head at St Clair's Secondary School in rural Essex for the past 4 years. With 2 weeks before he meets my panel of experts, I've come to identify exactly what's holding Simon back. Is it his skill or is it his will?
Hello Joe, welcome to St Clair's.
Simon, nice to meet you.
Let's go through.
Great. Do you really want to be a head?
Yes I do.
Why?
I want to be a head because I have, in my mind, a very clear vision of what I think school should be like.
Simon works a 12-hour day and every second is taken up with endless responsibilities.
Mrs Smith, can you tell me where you are please?
Just outside the language block.
Can we hurry up to lessons please? Let's go to lessons please. Miss Martin's group in there, Mrs Hughes' group is in ICT4, quickly.
So is that typical?
My role has sort of become this constantly on the corridor sort of person, so I need to be seeing people when I see them.
Well, that's very fragmented, isn't it?
I don't know, I'd say that's a style I want, but it's certainly a style which I've had to adopt.
Does that work as a leader though?
It's now become a habit.
Simon's hands-on approach is evident both outside and inside the classroom, even in other teachers' classrooms.
Also, can you save your PowerPoint on as well?
Simon certainly has the will to become a head teacher, but does he have the skill? Let's ask his colleagues. So what more does he need to do to become a head?
Perhaps to develop a bit more of the emotional intelligence that leaders are supposed to have.
Nothing should hold him back because he has the capacity to learn. He has the capacity to learn from his mistakes.
Taking on headship is a huge step. To do it, you really must be ready. It's the end of the school day and the question is, does Simon have the right skills? I want to show him some insights from another head to help him find out. I've noticed in the way that you work here, you bring incredible drive, energy, enthusiasm, passion for what you do. Why don't we look at another head teacher talking about what it takes to be a head teacher? And I'll show you some clips from what they say.
Thinking about one of the most important attributes for a head teacher, I think I would call that emotional intelligence. This idea of how we get the best out of people by really listening to them.
Your reaction on that?
I think he's right, and I think as teachers we do that every day. We work with children to get the best out of them, and it only makes sense that to be a leader you do that with adults.
Can sometimes feel that they've got to be the complete angler, good at everything. Of course the reality is that you don't have to be good at everything. You've got to be good at appointing people who are good at everything, but that's quite different. I'm doing my job by getting that person in post.
Do you feel you need to be good at everything?
It's really interesting to hear that, and I don't think I've really taken that on board before. But you're right, because I have this urgency and this passion to be a good leader, I sometimes feel I'm doing the job for people. What I'd like to do is try and learn how to step back and allow others to find the answers.
Okay, so that's part of your learning journey.
I think so. I think that's a really important part for me to consider.
Simon clearly has the drive to become a head, but does he have the experience? I think it's time for him to meet another leader to help him discover, is he ready for the top job? There's just 1 week to go before Simon faces the panel. I've identified that he's very good at fighting fires, but has he got the strategic vision to be a leader? To find out, I've sent Simon to witness how a top-level firefighter has to work in order to lead effectively.
I am feeling a bit nervous. It does feel like I'm a new pupil on the first day of school. I'm going into something which I don't have any understanding of, and really looking forward to it, but slightly apprehensive as well.
Responsible for 51 fire stations in Essex, I'm hoping Chief Executive Fire Officer David Johnson can show Simon how he manages to delegate under pressure.
Take a seat, make yourself comfortable.
So what are we doing today?
What we've arranged is 3 different...
Simon will be shadowing a number of fire department events. But first, Simon has a question for David.
The reason I want to be a leader in a school is because I have a quite clear idea about what I want a school to be like. Why did you want to be a leader?
I think all leaders, to really be confident and passionate about what they do, have to have that drive within them. If you didn't really love what you do, and didn't really have that spark, then I don't think you could lead.
First stop, a fire authority meeting at County Hall, Chelmsford. En route, Simon talks to David about the challenge of standing back and letting others take over.
One thing I find quite difficult in that sort of step towards being a better leader is I've always been quite hands-on and always wanted to do things myself, or I find it difficult to just let someone else do that for me.
I'll be quite blunt, you will never succeed as a head teacher if you keep that attitude.
Yeah.
It's a physical impossibility.
The meeting at County Hall is to discuss an overspend in the fire authority's budget from the previous year.
Chairman, this is one of those money-related meetings in principle, so I'll pass straight to the Treasurer. In the longer term, we're going to have to sit down and do some modelling of the genuine cost to us of climate change.
It seems every decision you're making is very much data-driven.
Data has to be at the heart of what we do, yeah, and it is, and we spend a lot of investment in data management, data gathering.
It's one of the things in schools, I sometimes think I'm making a decision because I feel I've seen it in the corridor, I feel I've seen it in the classroom, so I make a decision, but never consulting data to actually back that up, and that's quite interesting to see that.
Yeah, that's the route to short-term success and medium-term failure.
Straight from the meeting, it's back on the road to visit Harlow Fire Station, so Simon can find out from some of David's team what they look for in a leader.
My question really is, what do you expect from your watched commanders or your chiefs? What sort of qualities do you expect them to have?
The main thing we look for is communication. Yeah. Because we have to work as a team, and we look for that from higher up as well. We look for the communication.
Ultimately, we've got to have faith in a person. We're going to put our lives in their hands for the decisions they make.
So not just about the communication, it's about the trust and the respect. Well, that's really interesting for me because I'd like to take that sort of model back into schools and try and use that. Well, one thing I really enjoy the fact is that they genuinely seem to value you being there.
That inspirational leadership bit is the bit that's so vitally important, but unfortunately it's so difficult to get in there because it's the one that demonstrates the least results over the short term.
Simon's a very enthusiastic and able individual, and he's got all the characteristics there that you need of an inspiring leader.
Thank you very much for your time today. I've really enjoyed shadowing you. Thank you.
Good to see you. I wish you all the best for the future.
Because I've been so inspired by David, my drive to be a head teacher is even stronger now than it was yesterday.
I've spent time with Simon at work and I've sent him to see a fire chief. Now I've put together a panel of experts to assess how far he's moved on his journey to headship. Simon obviously has some way to go before making it to the top job in education, but with such determination and will, his journey may be fast. Will my carefully selected panel of education experts from governing bodies, industry recruitment and outstanding schools agree? This is Simon's moment of truth. My selection panel is next door and I'm going to watch from in here. What I want to see is, can he show he's got not only the passion but also the practical skills to become a great head teacher?
Do take a seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. We've got some questions to ask you. Margaret.
My questions are about capacity building. How do your colleagues view you?
It's very easy as a young leader to go in and think you're the answer and you can solve the problems. But I know that's not capacity building, and that's one of the things I've had to work on.
Well, can I push you a bit more on that?
I think, firstly, if I'm going to build capacity in any school, I need to understand those staff around me and work with them. And I think there needs to be a...
He's not giving the detail that they want. I think he may be in trouble.
Yes, Simon, one of the big changes for you in becoming a head teacher is the need to think on that strategic level. Are there any skills which you feel you don't possess yet that would enable you to think in that way and to perform in that way?
And one of the things I recognise I need to develop is that ability to truly, really think strategically. I had a recent experience with a man called David Johnson, the Chief of Fire in Essex. And one of the things that he made very clear to me was that you have to make decisions using data.
This is great. He's speaking from his heart about a specific issue and making it very concrete and very credible.
What unique qualities do you feel that you possess that make you capable of taking on such a large leadership role?
Well, I do hope one of the most important qualities that I have is the passion I have for education. I want to work in schools where children achieve their potential, because that's what it's about.
Right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
The panel is out. Simon has shown he's got the passion. Has he shown he's got enough of the practicalities? Let's see.
I thought he was a very strong candidate, very confident in the way he approached us and presented his answers.
I think Simon sees one of his strengths as his passion and his enthusiasm, and I believe he is. I think that came across. Where I think he fell short was, I think his answers lacked depth and specifics.
He only talked about data in the context of his visit with the fire chief, who told him that it was all about data, and I was a little worried that he hadn't realised that yet.
I think this is very premature. He seems suddenly to realise it's all about delegation. Well, being a head teacher, you've got to work through other people.
Maybe with a bit more experience, then he'd be capable of handling the pressure of being a head teacher.
So to summarise then, we feel that here is somebody with passion, but needs to build up on all that management experience.
I've heard the verdict of the panel. Now it's time to give Simon my verdict. Simon, how was it?
I'm not sure now. At first I thought it was okay. I could have been a bit more detailed, I think.
All right, so what have you learnt from this experience?
I think the most obvious thing I've learned has actually come from the experience I spent with David. And I've looked at what I've done over the last few weeks since then. I've thought about my decision-making process. Why am I doing this? Is it because I've just seen something in the corridor? Because that's not an appropriate decision. That's a sort of crisis management, which I know full well I need to move away from.
Well, I think the verdict from the panel, which I'd probably endorse, is that you're pretty much a head teacher in the making. You are on a journey. There's more experience you need to go through, as you yourself have recognised. But you've got that vital ingredient of passion and belief and willingness to learn. So it should be a great journey.
Thanks very much. I've really enjoyed the process. It has been a lot of fun. But I think most of all, it's just opened my eyes. It's really given me the sort of confidence that I can do it too. And so I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, the next day, and taking that journey further.